The shit's chess, it ain't. The shit's chess, it ain't checkers.
What's going on today? Today we're going to be talking about where is the money. Okay, so I was having a conversation earlier with my uncle, and he was informing me like where are the most sectors of money in America, and he mentioned a couple things, and I brought to his attention marriage and divorce. Um, but the order that he had it was off actually. So I use AI to basically put it in order as far as where the most concentrations of capital. Okay, and this is primarily in America. This it could it could be other countries as well because this is pretty universal. Capitalism is very universal. It's all over the world. But United States does have some unique things as far as how it does capitalism, but not that unique. So, without further ado, let's get right into this. I'm not going to be here that long. I just wanted to just put this information out there because it's good to, a lot of things about mindset. Okay. So, I'm, I'm still learning. I'm still, trying to learn every day, trying to formulate a good strategy to basically achieve financial freedom basically. And one of the things I learned uh will be yesterday, but yeah, I learned, not so much I learned, but one of the main focal points of basically a seven-figure lifestyle is, of course, money, time, and energy. Actually, time and energy is more valuable than money. Okay, without any time, you don't have any time left. It's over. It's game over. And a lot of times, when your energy is off, when you don't have any energy, you can't hardly do anything. So a lot of times, energy and time will allow you to make the money that you need to make, right? So those are a couple things that you should focus on because when it comes to your mindset is everything when it comes to money. Your mindset is the first part, okay? After that, is money management, using what you know to make money. That comes into money management, and then it goes into momentum, and it repeats its cycle. It's circular. It's a circular motion. So anyway, um, there's certain industries that basically, let me see, should I go from should I go from yeah, I'm gonna go from the bottom to the top. I'm gonna go from the bottom to the top as far as this order of operations here. So let me see here. Let's put some things in here. All right. All right, so number six, and these are six. Um I'm a edit this actual video afterwards. Um I'll put six six areas of capital in America. I'll just I'll just change that to that. All right. All right, so let's get right into it. Number six is you'll be surprised by this. Okay, number six is welfare. You didn't think that welfare was where the money was, right? You didn't think that, right? Well, my uncle that passed away, he used to tell me all the time about the welfare state, the welfare state. Um, a lot of what people talk about, they talk about communism and socialism. Let me do something here. Let's do something here. I don't like that minus sign. Let's just do this here. Alright. They talk about communism and socialism and all and Marxism. Well, what if I told you capitalism works along with socialism? It has elements of socialism in it. Because basically within capitalism there is basically a lot of people that are not going to have any money. Okay, and then you also are going to have people that won't, I mean, obviously will abuse the system. They'll abuse welfare. Okay, so um let's find out how much money is in welfare. How much money is in welfare? Let's look at this. Um money is in welfare. Okay. Now you got to think, like, I don't want you to think of this from a perspective of the person that's getting welfare, like the individual that, or family members that are getting welfare. Don't look you I'm gonna tell you first off, if you look at the individual, just the person is, if you've seen them people on TikTok doing grocery shopping videos talking about they buying food stamps, that is not the um those are the people that get certain subsidies, but that's just food stamps. When you talk about welfare, there is a lot involved with welfare. Welfare is huge. Okay. Uh, I have to share my screen and just break it down to you. Welfare is not just food stamps. Okay, that's just one aspect. That's SNAP. Okay, that's just one aspect of food stamps. When you say welfare, that's SNAP. There's TANF, which is cash assistance, housing assistance, which is Section 8, um, and also healthcare, Medicaid, education, and a lot of other programs. Homeless, like cash assistant programs, anything in relation to basically. Let's open this up and see what this says. Anything in relation to welfare, there's that's within that budget, and it says basically, it is one 1.2 trillion dollars. Okay, actually, no, 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 no. That's incorrect. Um, actually, one uh basically $1.48 trillion. So $1.048 billion is spent on uh welfare. There's 13, it says it's 13 federal government welfare programs. Social, you got basically, this is, let me share my screen so you can oh, you seeing it now. Okay, you seeing it now. Okay. So you got basically refundable tax credits like the earned income credit, got SNAP, housing assistance, SSI, Pell Grants, TANF, which is cash assistance. So in case a lot some people don't know what TANF is. I mean, most people probably, even if you've been, if you're 9 times out of 10, if you are a man, you've never had received TANF. If you're a man, you've never received TANF. TANF is usually goes to women with children. So if you have if you're not a woman, you have never gotten TANF most likely. Also, child nutrition programs, aka school lunch, breakfast, after school snacks, okay, child care, Head Start, job training, WIC, which is basically food for pregnant women and young children, Lifeline support, like for utility payments, heating and cooling, and also Medicaid. This is pretty much what welfare is. This is that $1 trillion. Okay, this is just, and you just got to think about it, this is number six. Okay, this is number six. We talking about money here. We trying. I want you. I'm spending my time. I'm on night owl time. Um, I'm spending this time to give you content to go against the grain. I could talk about all that other ratchet stuff and all of that, but we talking about money. We trying to we want I want you to have a money mindset. Okay. So knowing where the money is helps have that money mindset. So that's what we're doing today. Okay. So welfare, let me put this in perspective. So, we're doing this is, showmanship. So we want to put the money out there. So basically, on the playback, everybody can see what's going on in real time, or when, if they're watching it. Okay, so we're gonna just say $1 trillion. Okay, $1 trillion. All right, is the amount that is spent on welfare. Okay, $1 trillion. So let me edit this here so you can understand how deep the rabbit hole goes and where the money is. So $1 trillion, and this is number six. Okay, this is number six. So this is all of these. This is why. Okay, again, I don't want you to think. Okay, thinking about the recipients of these benefits, you'll miss the entire point. The recipients is not getting $1 trillion. That's what I want you to know. What you don't know that I want you to think and have an understanding of is not just the recipients getting these welfare subsidies, okay? And I don't get any of these. I don't get, even when I was unemployed, I was not getting none of these. Now, again, if you think about just the recipients, you are a lost cause in this situation, in this conversation. The reason being is you got to think, you got to put your thinking caps on. The recipients, they do get a lot of this, the help or whatever, or the actual monies, right? But what you don't miss, or what you don't think about, that I understand, is that who administrates all of these different programs. All of these programs are part of the departments. These are department heads, managers, directors, basically clerks, different employees that administer all of these are individual departments. They have buildings, they have offices, they have staff members, federal employees, yeah, private employees, contract employees that that they pay to administer and process all of this paperwork and everything that needs to be done, process these recipients to get these benefits. There's Out of that $1 trillion, who knows how much is budgeted toward basically the actual departments, which these programs are all different departments. How many employees actually work in these departments that are the front line, as far as they're the ones that work at these offices that administer these, people coming in that need assistance. They're the ones that sign off on the documents. They're the ones that check over qualifications and everything like that, so the people can actually get the recipients, or the recipients can get the benefits. But before they can get the benefits, they got to go through people, and that's the staff that work at all of these different departments. The IRS, administering, earn income tax credits. All of these are federal employees, contractors, and also private workers that work within this system. And then you got to understand there's non for profits that get grants from these actual departments as well within welfare. So this is what makes this $1 trillion industry. This is why if you go out and you get, I remember my mom was at one time trying to get her child care. She was trying to get like a child care facility at her house. I mean, you got some people that have child care, uh basically they have child care services at a house or a small, like, storefront or something like that, and they making millions of dollars with childcare. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars with just childcare, because it's a lot of funding, it's a lot of welfare. That's one of the reasons why people, come over to this country. This is for number 6. It is for number 6 because even if you're poor, you can use welfare, to have a better life than what most people would have in another country, or let's just say a third world country. But again, a lot of the actual funding goes to, you got not for profits, you got the employees that work at these departments, whether they be contractors and or federal or state. You got federal and state employees. This is a behemoth. Okay, it is like Godzilla, as far as the money that's involved in that and the people that actually work in this welfare system. Okay, it is huge, 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 huge. So again, over $1 trillion. Okay, number 6 is welfare. Okay, so I hope I'm giving you a good explanation, a good presentation tonight, because basically this is very good information. Knowing where the money is critical. Okay, mission critical. Okay, all right, mission critical. Now, you probably are surprised about number 6 being, okay, welfare. Okay, you probably surprised about that, but you don't believe that I'm lying to you. You don't think I'm lying to you about that. Like, you can kind of like dig it. Like you can put it together and be like, yeah, I can see how that works. Oh yeah, you're right. You know, that's why they call it the welfare state. Okay. Now number five also is kind of surprising, but not really. Not really. Okay. It shouldn't be surprising. Okay. And we're gonna get the figure on this. Okay. Where's the money? Six areas of capital in America. Okay. Where is the money in America? Number five, crime and punishment. Crime and punishment. This is a big one. Big one. You should not, you didn't probably think about this or didn't notice, but it is very, very huge. It's a major deal. Okay. I was thinking about this actually before I had a conversation um with my uncle today, because the thing is, I was thinking about was, how much money is actually in uh crime and punishment. Okay. Now this is according to cost estimates research from the University of Chicago, which is not too far from me. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. This is a huge, huge deal. So they're estimating that crime and punishment, because if you think about the end point, which is the end point is actual criminals that get locked up, you're losing the whole thought process. You're losing the whole thought process. So you got to think about the judges, the lawyers. You got to think about the actual criminal acts. Once they get caught, it's no, okay, I'm just caught and then that's it. It's not, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like, oh, I just get caught, and that's it. It's they get caught and all of their monies are confiscated. Banks get levied, which makes basically they get frozen. The cartels have what, billions of dollars every year in America. They find out that it's cartel owned bank. The federal government finds out it's a cartel owned bank. They freeze the account. And you got to think of how many bank accounts the cartel might have. They would freeze that account, and it could be, a bunch of bank accounts, and it's billions of dollars just alone, just a couple bank accounts, and then they freeze it. That money in that account goes back to the government. It goes into, the government coffers or whatever, the tax roll or whatever. That's just one little entity. That's one entity. You talking about all kinds of different, criminals, criminal organizations, um the actual people that work in law enforcement. And when you talk about law enforcement, you also the judicial branches, the judges, the law clerks, the ladies that do they teletypers, I believe they call, that they type up the transcripts of the court, whatever happens in court. It is huge, bro. I mean, huge, huge, huge. Like I say, almost $6 trillion. Think about trillions of dollars. $6 trillion is in crime and punishment. We gonna learn tonight. We gonna learn where the money is. The money, you got number six, welfare. Number five, crime and punishment. This is where the money is. You got people on YouTube, they're criminals. They don't tell you they're criminals, obviously, duh, but they're doing criminal shit. And then you don't find out till they got locked up. or you might not even find up. You ain't hell. I got locked up. I just recently got my record. You know, I just recently got my record sealed. So shout out to me, man. Let me give myself a slow clap. But yeah, man, it's a lot of money involved in crime and punishment. The actual acts of what criminals do and get away with once they get caught, okay? When they raid a house, they're not giving that money back. If they raid a drug house, they're not giving that money back. That money is being confiscated. Local law enforcement, sheriff's offices, state police, federal, branches of government, the FBI, the DEA, the ATFs, they all have the power to seize assets, and assets are inside a home as well. If it's money, if it's drugs, of course, they're supposed to destroy the drugs, but if it's anything valuable, that's why if you go on government auctions, a lot of those assets on government auction websites are seized assets from basically government departments seizing people's assets through basically search warrants, seizure of property. Just think about how many raids there's done every year, all throughout the year. People getting caught doing all kinds of stuff. You know, all of their property gets seized. Some of those people, they might be able to get some of their property back if they, find out they're not guilty or something like that. But most of those people probably are not getting their property back. Okay. So I'm going to read this briefly. Okay. So it says crime and punishment in the United States represents substantial economic burden. Although the precise figures can vary across studies depending on the methodology and scope considered, here's a summary of estimated costs. Total annual cost of crime estimate range between 4.7 and 5.8 trillion dollars annually. According to research from the University of Chicago, other studies estimated the annual cost of crime in the United States between 690 billion and 3.4 trillion dollars in adjusted 2016 dollars. Direct costs to victims and taxpayers total 620 billion dollars in 2017, representing 3.2% of the US GDP. Okay, these direct costs include victim costs, medical care, loss of earnings, property loss and damage, mental health care. In 2007 alone, economic losses to victims amounted approximately $15 billion. dollars. According to the criminal justice system costs, government funds spent on police protection is $142 billion in 2016. Legal and adjudication services and correction programs, including incarceration. The total government cost of the corrections and criminal justice system in 2016 was $295 billion. dollars. Okay. There's also indirect costs, which is productivity, wages due to incarceration or victimization, damage to families, including costs related to visitation. People get evicted with evictions occur, reduce marriage prospects, and increase chances of intergenerational criminality among children of incarcerated parents. So kids see their father locked up, their mother locked up, then they, you know, grow up and get locked up themselves. Social and economic consequences of punishment, wrongful convictions, costs associated with heightened fear of crime, reduced investment in communities that are burdened with high crime rates, and increased burden on social services. Okay. So one of the things that, basically, people don't really consider in all of this conversation is a lot of different things. Okay. Um, we're gonna let's get up out of here. One of the things that people don't consider when it comes to crime and punishment, okay, one of a lot of things that are missing. Okay, first of all, the actual criminal acts themselves. When you think about, let's go to our chart here, which is, I added some things to it, which is this is the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. I added system D and unemployment or unemployed people to this cash flow quadrant. And the reason I did it is exactly the reason why is criminals work under system D. Okay. Uh even unemployment is part of, if you're unemployed, you you qualify for food stamps. You do qualify for some of those welfare benefits. You qualify for quite a few of them actually. You are actually, that's why people, they don't like bums, and they don't like poor people, because poor people are looked at as the dredge of society and a burden of society. I don't necessarily agree with that wholeheartedly, because you got companies that also get welfare handouts from the government. They're not classified as actual welfare, but they do get government set asides, like, obviously 2008, the Great Recession, where GM got bailed out, basically Dodge and Chrysler got bailed out. um who else, basically, a lot of banks, got bailed out, and other financial institutions, investment houses like AIG got bailed out. Lot of company corporate bailouts, okay, which is basically, i.e., corporate welfare, right? Those entities get way more money. Also international welfare, such as giving countries welfare, like, Israel gets billions of dollars, Ukraine, other countries, they get billions of dollars in aid, foreign aid, which is basically foreign, basically welfare. Is United States giving other countries welfare. So those are more numerous as far as monies given than, the media, or basically programming, is brainwash you to believe that the poor person that's got food stamps is a dredge on society. But you don't look at corporate welfare as well as, uh let's just say, international welfare, where the US government is giving other countries actual, welfare handouts, help, lending, money to other countries. But again, system D is part of crime. People selling drugs, people doing anything that is associated with, is called the black market, right? The reason why it's called the black market is, good- it's all, everything black is bad, right? All this shit. But the thing is that it's markets that are not legal. That's all it is. It's not legal. It, people got secret gambling, spots, houses, or whatever. People have brothels. People have they have drug houses and drug spots selling drugs. Uh, People are doing all kinds of different things that are illegal. Some things are even very dark and all kinds of stuff. Human trafficking, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? So all of that being said, hitmen, all of the dark side of society, as well as just people just selling stuff on the street illegally, selling illegal drugs, narcotics, all of these things people make money off of, then the police has to come in and arrest these people. Federal agencies have to arrest these people. They seize these people. They have to now pay lawyers. They have to pay basically for judges. Judges have to be paid, as far as they have to have federal judges that are part of the taxpayer role, is pay for federal judges, local state judges, county judges, county prosecutors, DAs, all of these different judicial branches. They all have courthouses. They have to keep the lights on. They have to pay the staff to run these basically court centers and courthouses. They have to pay for the jails. They have to pay for the prisoners, the sheriffs, the CEOs. They have to pay for build prisons, build new jails. They have to pay to feed the prisoners, health care, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. They have to pay for law enforcement. Okay. They have to pay for private citizens that are not law enforcement to work at the police stations, the dispatchers. Um, basically all of these different areas, private lawyers to defend, these criminals, right? Or alleged criminals getting caught in alleged criminal activities. All of this encompasses this four, almost five, $6 trillion, as far as monies that are spent in America. Okay. On crime and punishment, actual, white collar crimes. This guy, think of, Bernie Madoff alone. Bernie Madoff, he got away with stealing, I believe, over $200 billion. Okay. You think about Elizabeth Warnos, I believe, or Thurnos. Her company, her fraud lost investors $50 billion. Okay. um you just think about all of these different people and entities that basically got away with stealing people's money, hard earned investment money, from big to small. This is part of this, nearly five, almost $6 trillion crime and punishment. All right, so we gotta know where the money is. I mean, if you want to be blind, deaf, dumb, and blind, I mean that's fine, but we gotta know where the money is, right? That's where this is about this channel. This channel is this is a get money channel. Okay, if you not get money, um, you I don't even know why you being bothered. It's like this is definitely a get money channel. I mean, it's a lot of different channel. It's a lot of different things. This is a channel for kings as well, but this is a get money channel. kings get money. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So that's the deal. So this is pretty. This is not surprising. We're moving up the ladder. Okay. Number four is employment. Okay. Just um, the employee sector, right? You know, um, good old fashioned working a job, the proletariat working jobs, right? Okay. Just every day working a job, right? Ooh, let's see here. I gotta find this info. Okay, so gotta find this. Let's see here. Let's see here. All right. Let's find this data here. Hmm. All right. Let's see here. It's kind of skewed information, but we can need a good overall um, just data set to find out, you know. Um, let's see here. Let's see here. Let's find this here. All right. Let's see here. Come on. Come on, phone. There we go. All right. What is the total amount of monies spent by businesses on employees in the United States? See if I can see if this is better. Okay, there we go. 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 All right. That's why everybody talking about their job. All the people are happy about their job. Okay. Everybody, they talking about either their job or getting a new job or the job and jobby job. All right. The reason being is at number four, 16.5 trillion dollars businesses spend on their employees. Okay. Okay. So when you're trying to sell somebody something and they say they don't have no job, that's your cue to walk away. So they ain't got no money. Okay. Um, you know. So basically, this $16.5 trillion is based off of private sector wages, which total, and this is according to 2023 and 2024 data. So 10.5 trillion is coming from the private sector Government wages amount for only 1.5 trillion, which is very surprising. I would think the government would be pretty substantial in their wage output, but you also have to include people that are basically contractors and stuff like that. So that the total amount is basically from the private sector and government wages is 12 trillion. Okay. Now you also have to include health insurance, retirement, and other benefits like 401k and private health insurance and other employee compensation. So that makes $3.5 trillion, as well as stock options and other bonuses make up another $1 trillion, which is makes up the totality of the $16.5 trillion from from businesses paying their employees. Not surprising, okay? Not surprising. Okay, we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Employment is number four, okay, at $16.5 trillion. Okay, now it's getting juicy. Now it's getting juicy. It's getting juicy after this. You're probably not going to expect this. You're not going to expect this one. There's probably something that you didn't expect. Even my uncle, he didn't expect this when I told him about this because I factored it into the actual different concentrations, and he didn't consider it. Okay, so this is somewhat surprising, but it's probably not going to surprise you that much. Okay, and we're going to find out how much this industry or this area, um as far as why this is number three. So I be trying to tell y'all. I mean, this is a get money channel. This is a millionaire, future aspiring millionaires channel. Okay, and when I basically I told you guys, remember I told you guys, I said basically this stat here, 2019, 76 of all millionaires were married. Okay, I'm not making this up. I mean, I might not be as polished. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get some more thousands in my bankroll so I could be more polished, in my delivery and not so ratchet, but the delivery is the delivery nonetheless. Okay? Now, all right, if you're a salesman, this information is probably the most valuable to you. Okay? Marriage and divorce. So pretty much your target audience should be if you're selling like I got Lonzo, he sells insurance and other financial products. I mean, obviously your target market should be basically married people or divorcees. Okay, marriage people that are married or divorcees. Okay, those should be like that, people that are employed, obviously, or businessmen or women that are married or divorced. Those are your that you know. There you go, right there. You got from just watching this little small channel, right?
Message.
All right. So marriage and divorce. How big is this industry? I'm just gonna keep with my My AI app. Just gonna use this. So we trying we getting to the bottom of this. You see how we getting to the bottom of this? We getting it. Okay. Tomorrow y'all gonna go out, y'all gonna hit the door, go to your car, and you gonna know exactly where you gonna look at you literally gonna be financially red pilled because you gonna know exactly where the money is tomorrow. When you get in your car, your whole perspective is gonna change. Cause you listen to the broke genius and he told you where the money was in America. People gonna be getting in line at the embassy already, knowing where the money is because they, listen to me overseas. I don't have that many overseas audiences, but I do. But anyway, you're gonna know where the money is after this for sure. If you didn't know, you're gonna know after this. We gonna educate you. All right. So, all right. How much is in how much capital is in marriage and divorce? Okay. Cause this has, I mean, I put this in AI. I wanted to know from smallest to largest, where is the money? And it put I thought, because I thought it was going to be at the bottom, but it put it at number three, which is not surprising to me because the one of the richest women in the world was Jeff Bezos' wife, and that was by proxy of her divorce. Okay, by proxy of her divorce, was basically how she became so wealthy. All right, so let's see here. This is kind of skewed. Yeah. Let's see here. Hmm, This might be kind of skewed. Mm, Host. Let me find out. Spent on marriage and divorce, including divorce um, proceedings, distribution, asset distribution. All right, let's see here, because this is the reason why I got to be number three, or maybe it was an error, but I don't think so. Okay, so it's estimating that a lifetime financial impact of marriage and divorce is around $20 billion, and that I'll give you the rundown of what all of that entails. All right. And this is plus. It could be even more than that. It depends. It's a lot of different stuff going on. This is the breakdown of marriage divorce. Marriage weddings. Weddings are cost us is around 70 to 80 billion dollars. Okay, at an average cost of $30,000 per wedding. Divorce legal fees 10 to 15 billion dollars. Average cost is 7,000 and 20,000 for uncontested. If it's contested, it goes. It's like literally if you going through a divorce and it's contested, just double the cost of what a standard divorce will be, which a lot of divorces are contested because especially if assets are involved because and also children are involved. It could be contested. You know, prenuptial agreements are basically around like 10 like 2 to $2 billion a year for lawyers to draw up to pay for payment for lawyers to draw up prenuptial agreements. Alimony payments are basically around $12 billion. Child support payments for divorce couples, or basically this is federally tracked. Uh, Divorce, couples, $33 billion. Most of that is most likely men paying for child support. I'm divorced. I pay my ex-wife actual cash. It's no way for the federal government. Well, actually, they could because when I put on my statement, I put child support. So, but it's not. I'm not on child support. I just pay. So I have an agreement with my ex-wife to pay cash for child support. So, another thing is $1 billion is spent in marriage counseling, and that's just the actual, what's involved in marriage. What is most impacted in marriage and divorce? Why this is $20 trillion? You got to understand. Let me go back here to kind of help you understand why this is so high and why this is up here. Is because it's you got a lot of people that get divorced as well, and then also get married. And then when you have split ups, don't think of just your neighbor, your average person. I mean, I know people listen. Most people that listen to me are just average people. I mean, slightly but above average, possibly. But you got people that are billionaires, millionaires that are getting divorced. Well, they got to split assets a lot of times, right? They have to split retirement accounts. You got high net worth individuals, um, like Bezos, his split cost him $38 billion. Bill Gates' split cost him $67 billion. And then Elon Musk, his last divorce cost him $100 million. So you also have business assets that have to be divided, ownership, and also other assets that have to be divided, such as houses, real estate, right? Art, expensive, cars and jewelry and all kinds of other things that have to be split up, as well as retirements, have to be split, equities in businesses and homes again. It's part of a wealth transfer mechanism. Pretty much that's what divorce actually is. So I could have put this in inheritance, but it's not. It's something that is different than inheritance. which is, I already kind of gave that away, but um, that's actually, I'll get to that. But basically, marriage and divorce is a $20 trillion industry. Okay, all right. So it's something that it's a major thing. A lot of people actually. That's one of the reasons why. One of the one of the motives for murder is one is I believe one is money. Number two is love. Or domestic relations, right? And a lot of that is involved with marriages. A lot of times, I don't know how many times someone split up. Actually, number two is inheritance. Is actually the next topic. So, couples split up, the children are involved, or the one person doesn't want to get split up or whatever. Then it turns into a double deletion, or a deletion, cold case files, right? Because it's a lot involved with marriage. A lot of people don't want their capital split, and all kinds of other things that are involved with money, with marriage. So inheritance. All right. Um, this is basically number two. Okay. Why is it number two? Okay. We gonna find out. It's really simple. You know, it's not really it's not that hard to believe, because if you knew what number one is, and you already know, basically people that are employees, how much they get as far as what they get, and then they leave inheritance. I haven't even gotten if you knew, I mean, basically number one will tell you why inheritance is going to be so huge. um you could probably already guess what number one is. I talk about it all the time. It's literally on the cash flow quadrant. It's really just, it's a no brainer. Probably a second grader can figure out what number one is. But that is the brunt of inheritance. That's why inheritance is so huge of a thing. Okay. All right. All right. So this is why this is huge right here. This is mind blowing right here. So I mean, we finding out what the money is, and you know, tomorrow will never be the same, because you gonna know what the money is. I even didn't know all of this as far as the number breakdown. This is tremendous. This is actually absolutely tremendous right here. Inheritance is $156 trillion. Wow. Wow. 156 trillion dollars. So I got one of my homies. He pretty much he got a small. He got an inheritance. It was small though. Like, I mean, he got okay, he got his he got his, but it's his sister. He got a problem with his sister, so I don't know what the end result is going to be with this. But he basically he was already living with his daddy, so he pretty much he got the house. The house is paid off. He just got to pay the taxes, but he don't have title to the house because his sister was managing his dad's basically finances, and she doing all kind of stuff. She all over the place. I ain't trying to do too much in spreading all of his business, but he got a pretty substantial hair inheritance. And from what I researched about inheritance, it's substantial when it's an amount over anything over $20,000. Which black people to get an inheritance, um, let me look that up because black people do not get a lot of inheritance. Okay, I myself, I didn't get nothing. My parents, they didn't really fare too well in they later years. They didn't really, they just kind of both of my parents was really not really that good with money. Uh, my dad was worse, was the worst one with money. Um, let's see here. So the average black inheritance is wait, before I get to that, I want to get the percentage of how many black people actually do get an inheritance. So only 15% of black families actually get an inheritance. Okay, it's double that for whites. So 30% of white families get an inheritance. And this is from the Urban Institute. So double that for whites. So 30% of white families get an inheritance. 15% of black families get an inheritance. Okay. Um and they talk about all kinds of reasons why. I mean, obviously there's a lot of moving parts with that. You talk about discrimination, the Jim Crow, um, different things in that regard. Okay, because when you talk about the Great Wealth Transfer, it's talking about that. Um, so it's a lot of stuff goes on with that. But what it says is that black families get a medium inheritance of $10,000 to $25,000. And white families get it's just leaps and bounds compared to that. They get an average medium inheritance of 200,000 to $250,000 compared to black families getting 10,000 to $25,000 of inheritance. They even have notes. It's just shit is detailed like a motherfucker. So the white families tend to get homes, stocks, and businesses, which that's the fucking most of the things that I talk about on this channel. Get little to fucking no engagement. But it's okay. I'm on some white shit, basically. Black families tend to get mostly cash, gifts, and just basically little like figurines and stuff when they pass away. Okay, white families getting homes, stocks, and businesses. um Black families getting grandma's, you know um money under the mattress and some gifts laying around, anything whatever grandma got laying around. So yeah. Now I will say my grandma just recently passed not too long ago. I you know I have I probably will get like maybe a couple grand. I don't know. I'm not waiting for it. I'm not. That's not something that I really, I ain't tripping on that. But this goes to show exactly like what it says. Like, it's mostly cash, gifts. It's not really something significant to intergenerationally transfer to your children. It's very, very small in comparison to white families getting homes, stocks, and businesses that net from median averages of 200,000 to $250,000. Okay, now it mentions slavery, redlining, discrimination, systematic barriers as to why black people, but that's the reason. That's the black plight in America. I mean, that's being brought over in ships and chains and all of that. So it's a lot of things to overcome. A lot of black people do not overcome that. It's very few. So, and then black people don't really take certain. A lot of black people are financially um insolvent and financially illiterate. I would even say not a lot of black people are financially literate. Okay, they might have common sense with their money. They do common sense things like you know save amount of their money from their paycheck, and all that type of stuff, but they don't take certain measures to they don't buy stocks and businesses. They don't A lot of black people do not have they don't invest in businesses and in stocks. They might have homes, but some people, like my grandparents, they had a gambling problem. So in order to feed their continual gambling problem, they got a reverse mortgage. So their house is not going it has to be it's going back to the mortgage company. So um it just, yeah. But yeah, this is fucking sad, man. This is sad shit. Oh my god. But I mean, my friend, I mean, his dad was just his mom and dad. His mom was like met she worked in the medical field. His dad worked like in a factory or something, like, or in like a manufacturing company. And he worked his fingers to the bone. His mom worked, and they both was paying bills, and they paid off the house mostly. His dad paid the house off, and um he had some money, different money or whatever, different places or whatever, and that's what he got. He worked his fingers to the bone so his children can have some type of inheritance, some type of inheritance, and he did that, and his dad's actually from Mississippi too. He's his dad is from Mississippi. My grandfather, I have one of my grandfather's vans. I actually drive it, but like, because I'm having problems with my Nissan. But yeah, like these actual statistics when it comes to black inheritance is like very, very dismal. Very, very dismal. They said basically, um when it comes to the great wealth transfer, it's only 2% to 3% that black people are represented in that wealth transfer, or that the wealth transfer, the great wealth transfer that's going on now, only impacts black people by 2 to 3%. Um, you know, uh, yeah, um, yeah, boy. Golly.
Fatality.
So yeah, that was pretty sad right there. But moving on, nevertheless, basically, number one is absolutely business. All right, good old business. Okay, you know, grandfather business. Business feeds the whole world, right? Okay, now this is gonna shock you. Okay, so we up to 156 trillion with inheritance. Okay, now most of that inheritance is coming from business. So we gonna get the figures on business, and then you see why I talk about business, business all the time. I talk about business, right? So this is the reason why. This is gonna surprise you, and you can understand that the U.S. deficit can be paid easily, very easily. So basically, I have to use my calculator. Um, let me get my calculator out here. All right. And keep in mind, this doesn't include the black market. The black market um is unknown. Like, you got money that's in Swiss banks, Grand Caymans, um, secret bank accounts basically, also even crypto. So this is just a rough estimate. And this is just, you know, as far as like what's known as far as just an estimate. Okay. So the businesses alone is worth at least about $100 trillion, and that does not include small business. This includes small businesses, but this doesn't include, like, people that are self-employed and contractors and stuff like that. So this is just a rough estimate, okay? And okay, every year, basically, companies the average revenue every single year is $45 trillion. That's just the revenue every year. The total revenue of businesses every single year is about $45 trillion. And again, that does not include, like, you got basically System D, which is the black market. That is like another probably trillions of dollars that is generated that through black money, aka system D money, right? That's not tracked, that's not taxed, of course. So yeah, now you know. Now you know where the six areas of capital is in America. Okay. And this is private companies, private businesses, corporate assets. Okay. Okay. Tech, finance, healthcare, consumer discretionary, energy, defense. Okay. So yeah. So now you know. You know where the money is now. Okay.
If you don't think money can buy happiness, you don't know where to shop. You can get money and then go save the world. You can get money and save the forests in Brazil. You make money and go save global warming. But without money, you can't save a fucking thing. Don't you understand? Don't the fucking idiots on YouTube understand that? Until you make some shekels, until you make some fucking coin, you can't help anybody. Because if love got the job done, you wouldn't all be fucked up.